For those of you on Channel 6 watching right now, we were also broadcasting our 10 p.m. newscast on PHL 17, but we do have a tornado warning for central parts of Berks County. This was issued around 10:22 with a storm right over Walmelsdorf. Radar indicated tornado or near Myerstown moving to the east at 35 miles an hour. The area in red is that tornado warning where you want to take shelter. 222 north and west of Reading, also along 422 with the possibility of a tornado. Some towns: Sinking Spring, Walmelsdorf, Reading, Leesport, Burnville, Spring Ridge, Shillington, West Reading, Wyomissing Hills, West Lawn, Whitefield, and West Wyomissing. You want to take shelter in the lowest part of your home or apartment complex. Earlier today, we were talking about how when you went to bed in southeastern PA to keep the phones on in case you were alerted by a tornado warning or a flash flood warning. If you know anyone in this region, maybe give them a call. Try to get the kids, if they have little kids in bed. I know it's hard to wake them up at night, but you got to go into an interior room away from windows like we saw last week. A lot of glass can be shattered in these type of situations when you have strong winds, and that's where folks get hurt. So again, interior hall or bathroom, no windows. Let's take a look at the radar and we can see what is going on and where we are exactly looking. There has been a couple of little notches here in Berks County. There's Walmelsdorf as it passed right overhead there with that possible tornado. It's a radar indicated here along 422 moving to the east at about 35 miles an hour. Townsend Times burn at 10:39, so that's 8 minutes from now. Also, Ole at 10:57, Muhlenberg at 10:44. That is right near 222 here where we could have this notch, and you can also see the displacement of all that lightning. So the strongest part of the storm is down here, not so much up here, even though there's another little notch here. So you can get these little eddies, so to speak, to rotate, and how the atmosphere tonight is prime, unfortunately, for some isolated tornadoes. So there's Burnville, Fairfield Heights, Burn, and also 73. Muhlenberg is right in the path as this is pushing to the east at 35 miles an hour. Again, you could see those strongest winds and that possible tornado ahead of where the heaviest rain or the most vivid lightning is with this storm as it pushes to the east right now, just to the south of Burnville. Reading is right here. So there's downtown Reading as you lift to the north of 222. So at this point, the most severe part of the storm or the possible rotation north Heidelberg is where it is right now. Looks to move just to the north of downtown Reading, but again, still want to get into the lowest part of your home as the atmosphere tonight is ripe for the possibility of rotation with these particular severe storms coming in from the west. This is the velocity. You at home are very aware of what this is now after last week. The green is winds moving towards the radar. Red is away. So when you get those opposite winds in the atmosphere, you get that turning and that tumbling, so to speak. Right now, there's no really tight couplet where you can get that rotation in one location. It's pretty broad right now, but you can see there's some funny business right now going on in the velocity near Walmelsdorf as it heads off to the east in central parts of Berks County. And this is the leading edge of a pretty potent line that has really taken on a severe shape and characteristics within the last hour. So we do have the orange zone, which is the severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11, which encompasses tornado warning until 11 o'clock in the red area, which includes Route 222, Reading, Burnville, and all points in between here. So as we look at the radar again, we'll go back to the radar and maybe the velocity, and if we can get a little bit closer for some of the closer towns or townships or some roadways here to show where this is exactly going. So here's 61. Fairview Heights is where it's moving over right now.
Where it's over right now.
Fairview Heights. All right, Cecily's just saying on the chat, it is right over Fairview Heights where the possible tornado in rotation is, which is right near Robinsonia Road. Also North Heidelberg Road is just to the east of there, heading towards 183, right near Burn. There's Fairview Heights. So again, you can see that void in the radar, this little kind of injection of green, which is a drier part of the atmosphere where you get those drier winds to come in and try to circulate that storm. West Leesport Road, it will be moving right over you, just to the south and west of Fairview Heights, and also just to the west of Tuckerton Road and Muhlenberg along 222. So if you know these areas or know anyone near Fleetwood or Pricetown, Ole, you definitely want to get them on the phone, down to the basement. If they have gone to bed, maybe just give them a ring and give them a heads up. Hey, there's possibility of a tornado heading towards you right now. Throw on Channel 6, throw on PHL 17, and listen to us, turn it up, and then head to the lowest level of your home as this pushes to the east. Again, this originated just to the west of this location around Womelsdorf at 10:22. Now it is 10:35, moving to the east at 35 miles an hour. Again, it is not spotter seeing a tornado on the ground. It is radar indicated at this point, and sometimes the National Weather Service will push out in our chat, like we saw last week, that a tornado is, radar is indicating that it's definitely on the ground, but that hasn't been the case at this point. But there is a tornado warning, which means we go to our safe spot in our home, and there's some of the towns and times again as it's pushing to the east. And as we continue to look at the velocity, which takes out any wind being pushed away from the storm, and it's taking a look at the wind structure inside the storm, because that is a better tool to see if it is moving toward or away from the radar. So you get those greens and some of those reds near one another here. We're starting to see some circulation, actually getting a little bit brighter greens here near 183, and also some darker reds. So this is a location to watch. Also to the south of there, so there's a couple of spots here where there could be some very brief spin-ups as they continue to track through here as this heads to the east at about 35 miles an hour. Again, there's Reading, Muhlenberg, 61, 12, 22, 73, Maiden Creek, Rockland. Definitely want to be in your safe zone. Center as well in the central part of Berks County. Cecily, we're going to bring you on in here and let everyone know what you've been looking at the chat and with Paul as well.
And unfortunately, this is something we're worried about what's going to happen. And we're talking about the possibility that we could get some thunderstorms strong enough to produce some tornadoes. So this is Storm Tracker 6 live, kind of the wider view showing this vicious line of storms that is really congealed as it's moving to the east. This is all associated with a strong cold front. And what's happening, there's some upper level energy. There's what's called a low level jet. And this is adding to some of the lift and also adding to some of the spin. So that tornado warning is in effect for Berks County. When you look at this, you can see there's some little notches. So what that is, that's the radar indication that there's some rain kind of wrapping around the center of what could be a tornado. This is radar indicated, so that tornado warning is in effect for central Berks County from Burnville through Maiden Creek, just right now to Reading and areas to the west. This is in effect until 11 o'clock. So what you need to do if you live in this area, please seek shelter right away. We've been through this drill a lot last week. So what you want to do is go to your basement if you have a basement. If you don't have a basement, go to the lowest floor of your house. Avoid windows. Best place to be if you don't have a basement, an interior hall, an interior closet, or a bathroom. You want to put as many layers between you and the outdoors as possible. What we found out, unfortunately last week, is just one person who doesn't go to their basement when they have a tornado, if a tree falls in their house, it can end up being deadly. So please take this seriously. If you know of anybody who lives in Berks County who may be asleep right now, please give them a call. Let them know about this. The storm is moving pretty quickly. It's moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. So some of the towns in the path of the storm, Bern, Muhlenberg, Ruscombe Manor, Ole, and Rockland, all in the path of this storm. It's in effect until 11 o'clock. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service extends this. If you look at the radar, you can see there is a little bit of a notching right there. So again, that's kind of that classic hook echo. A lot of times, once we see the storms congeal and move to the east, they'll start to get more of a bowing, and that's an indication of straight line winds and not a tornado. But this is a pretty classic, pretty strong signature right now. And what we can do, we can probably change this to relative velocity. This is a tool you've seen we use many times in the air, and this shows the direction of the wind. The red is heading away from the radar site, the green is heading towards it. We're not seeing a real compact couplet right now, but we are seeing that the wind is heading in different directions. So a lot of times that's an indication that there is some twisting in the atmosphere, and typically the brighter the colors, the stronger the winds as well. So what we can probably do, why don't we zoom in, Paul, on the radar and name some of the towns, some of the communities, maybe even some of the roads that we're looking at in the path of, again, what is a radar indicated tornado. Unfortunately, it looked like there was a pretty good potential of this happening. So as of about 5 minutes ago, the National Weather Service said the center of this possible tornado over Fairview Heights, moving east at 35 miles per hour. So Cross Keys Road, crossing Route 61, very close to Leesport, very close to Untitled. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. And the thing about tornado warnings, it's a pretty broad view with the polygon, because a lot of times tornadoes, they change direction. Sometimes, right now, this one is moving east at 35 miles per hour. So it could shift a little bit more to the north, a little bit more to the south. So Maiden Creek, if you live in that area, please seek shelter right away. Breezy Corner, Route 73, this is in the path of this possible tornado. So that tornado warning is in effect for Berks County until 11 o'clock. We have severe thunderstorm watches mainly north and west of Philadelphia, Chester County, Montgomery County, Bucks County, Mercer County, and all areas north and west, because this is where we're seeing the best potential, the greatest potential for severe weather. That flash flood warning is in effect for Lehigh County. This is because the training of the storms. The storms have been over the same area over and over again. So flash flooding is occurring. Hopefully a lot of people are off the roads, but if you're planning on going out, please be mindful of the water. Do not try to drive through any water, any flooded roads. You can't tell just how deep it is. We're looking at 3 inches of rain. Now, bear in mind, this is on top of what fell last week, and a lot of areas have had 600% of the rainfall over the past week. So the problem is that any rain that we get, and this one's been overachieving with about 3 inches, any rain we get, it doesn't get absorbed by the ground. The ground's saturated. The water table is very high. So when you get that rain, it runs off immediately. So that's why we are looking at that street flooding that's happening right now in Lehigh County. Wider view showing the storm. You can see it's a pretty solid band that moves through the Lehigh County area, through Berks County right now into Lancaster County. Our biggest concern right now is what's happening in Berks County. This is where we have that tornado warning. Looks like the strongest part of the storm, it's north of Reading right now. It's approaching 222. Muhlenberg, if you live there, please seek shelter. Fairview Heights, it's moved through right now, but you're still under the tornado warning. I do want people to stay in their basements, stay in their safe place until the all clear is given, because even once you get that center of rotation passing, you still have a lot of wind, you still have a lot of very heavy rain and lightning, which is very dangerous. Ontelaunee, Ruscombe Manor, Ole, Rockland, and District all in the path of that storm. Now, District, it's 11:11, and the tornado warning is in effect until 11 o'clock, so we'll have to see if this does hold together. Moving pretty quickly right now, 35 miles per hour, and the whole line will start to weaken as it pushes into the Philadelphia area. But the areas that we do see the most energy, the most CAPE, convective available potential energy, and helicity spin are areas north and west of Philadelphia. So this is really, that's why it's been our focus. Berks County right now, again, under that tornado warning. Looks like it's crossing the center of circulation. Again, this is radar indicated. Looks like it'll be crossing 222 just north of Mount Laurel Road, heading towards Breezy Corners, crossing Route 73. We're still seeing a pretty strong signature on that radar of that hook, where you can see kind of that rain wrapping around that center of circulation right over 61 right now. And let's expand it a little bit farther to the east. There we go, Ruscombe Manor in the path of that storm. Ole Furnace as well. Looks like the center of circulation may pass just to the north, but that is also under the tornado warning. So again, if you live in the Berks County, central Berks County area, you do want to seek shelter right away. If you're just tuning in, get in your basement, please. Take every tornado warning very seriously. We've had quite a bit of these lately, and you can see that notch right there. So that is an indication. Now we're looking at correlation coefficient. Now this shows if there's something that isn't like everything else in the atmosphere. If we have rain, it's all the same color. If we see something else, you can see a debris ball. I'm seeing maybe a little bit of it right now, just north of Muhlenberg. It's not a very strong signature, so I mean this could be good. Now last Wednesday with Ida, and back on July 29th, we saw the debris balls, and they were typical of very strong long track tornadoes. You see that when you get an EF2, when you get an EF3. What we're dealing with right now with a cold front, typically you don't get that type of tornadoes. You get the smaller brief spin-ups, the EF0s, the EF1s. That being said, it doesn't take much to destroy property, to endanger lives. Even an EF0 can bring down trees, can bring down power lines, and can damage homes. So this is why, no matter what, you do have to take it very seriously. Looks like that center of circulation right now crossing 222 just to the south, actually very close to Maiden Creek right now, moving to the east still at 35 miles per hour. So Fleetwood, Pricetown, Rockland, all in the path of the storm. Looks like Ole as well. Right now, still moving to the east, but we have to watch that. It could possibly change directions, so that's why that tornado warning is in effect for central Berks County. Why don't we go back and show the polygon? They canceled it. All right, if you're in Berks County, if you're in your basement right now, that tornado warning has been canceled. Still, there's lots of lightning out there, but fortunately, that tornado warning has been canceled, and we will have a full report on Action News tonight. And now we head back to regular programming on Channel 6. See you at 11.